Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Chai Tea with Nina D. I've got a bit of an interesting topic today. Brian and I both, we definitely look up to people, couples, and families that are very, very successful. There's women who are successful and men who are very successful, but the majority that are around us, a lot of the men, you get a peek into his personal life, and it turns out he's been married to the same woman for 20, 30 years. He's got beautiful kids. He goes on family trips with them. He's got his priorities in line, and a decision that he made 20 some years ago, he's standing on it. He's taking care of it, and he is evolving, not just professionally, which we can all see that he's successful and he's great and he's smart and he's intelligent. And some of these men that I know in our lives, I look up to them for advice, both personally and professionally, because I see the product, I see the results in their life, so to speak. I know their wives. I speak with their wives, and I know their kids. Some of their kids are they love their parents. And that's not talked about a lot because I don't think that people think that's cool. That's what I believe we are losing in our society today. When you do see men or women that are successful, but their personal lives are just, a complete wreck. They're divorced 2 times or whatever. I don't want to sound old school or traditional because I'm not. There are people that I know on a personal and professional level that just don't have their life together, but they're extremely successful. They are very, very kind and very, very nice. It's not bad that you got divorced. Maybe it's not his fault. Maybe it was the wife's fault. Maybe it was both their faults. But I'm just saying, I question when things like that happen because I think, where did the miscommunication happen where you let it get so far that it fell apart? Were you a total workaholic and just didn't stop to even consider somebody else's feelings? Did you let go of your commitment to one another, which sometimes looks like I can't work today because I have to, foster my relationship at home. I have to be there for my kids and my wife. And so you look at these people, so brilliant, so intelligent, so successful, and then they're alone. They're unhappy. And when you get to know somebody, you kind of know what's going on a little bit, and you can kind of see where things went awry and where it was her fault or his fault. And he's kind of just sitting there kind of well, what happened? I provided. I worked really hard. I gave in my nights and weekends so that this family could have this beautiful home and my kids could go to private school. And he's kind of just sitting there dumbfounded. And meanwhile, I look at that and say, if you put all the importance as a husband and a father on money this entire time for 20, 30 years of your life, and thought that when you're done, you can just come back and people will just, your family and your wife and kids will just take you in. But you didn't have the awareness or the self-awareness to stop and make time for them and realize the whole reason you're trying to work hard and make money is so that you guys can have experiences together. There's something in there that just doesn't sit with me. Because in a time where, again, we have social media, we have books, we have speakers, we have thought leaders, we have conferences, we have seminars, we have couples therapy, you couldn't take 2 minutes out to see where you might be going wrong this whole time. You basically let the train crash. This is what life is. When 2 people come together to build a life together and are changing and growing and their careers are moving around, and then they just throw kids in the mix, you change and you evolve. You're not the same person you were when you got married. So when I see those men, I'm in awe. How did they do it? What is their mindset like? What challenges did they face with their partners and their families? How did they pivot? How did they balance or not balance work and play? Because everyone who's really, really successful, guys, I will say one thing in common. They grinded hard for 10 plus 15, 20 years. That comes with sacrifices. That comes with a trade-off. You are giving up something to get to this level that you are at today. Do I think that all wives are understanding and can handle that? No. Do I think they all should? No. Because I think that you have to figure out how to make it work together. And it might suck for 2, 3 years or 10 years. But at some point that guy came around and was like, okay, I think this isn't working anymore for me. My kids are almost getting older. I got to figure this out, or my wife needs help at home. They do the work. And I believe it's just really glamorized when you see a man saying I'm hustling 100 hours a week and I'm doing this and I'm an entrepreneur and I'm on my phone 24/7. And, that's great. You automatically think that the guy is well off and super successful, but you take a peek into his life and you see that his personal relationships are falling apart. His kids don't see him. They don't have a close relationship. They might have the financial resources, but they don't have what life really is about at the end of the day. And I don't think it's just about the kids and the wife. I even think that those men need an emotional connection, a bond, a family, a unit, something to ground them, come home to, but they don't even know it because they're so stuck in their ways. And that's not cool, but I'm not understanding why people are making it cool. And then sometimes those men think it's okay to maybe leave their families and go for somebody who won't challenge them anymore, I guess you could say. And that comes with its own stigmas. I won't even go down that path. That's not what this episode's about. But we all know those people. We all know who those men are in our lives. And that's a disappointment. I'm disappointed when I see that because I just think you're so brilliant and you're so smart and you're so successful in this. But then when it came to this, you let the train like crash and burn, because this didn't happen overnight. This took 20, 30 years to happen. And you didn't step up. You didn't want to change. You didn't want to evolve. It didn't matter enough to you to evolve or to do whatever it took to keep this going. For men like that, they're avoiding growth, and it's like it's easier for them to not do the work and self-reflection and get help and get therapy, and they'd rather just scoop up somebody who won't challenge them in the same ways. And I think everyone who's been married for a hot minute could understand, like, it is very easy. I think it's easy to walk away. I think it's harder to self-reflect. I think it's harder to go to therapy and be told where, you know, you might be wrong or where you think you might need to evolve, grow, and change. And these men, even though they have all the resources in the world and by now a little bit of time, they'd rather not put in that work. And that's where it's just sad. When a guy is so successful professionally, and the closer you get to them, you learn he's been standing on business, not just professionally this whole time, but also in his family life and personally. There is nothing more inspiring to me than that, nothing more beautiful to see than that. And that doesn't mean that they don't go through their ups and downs. That doesn't mean that everything's perfect. That doesn't mean that they don't go to couples therapy or counseling. And that doesn't mean that they don't fight. Being married for almost, gosh, I don't even know. It's been like almost 10 years. I know what it takes for two people to grow together and what those ups and downs look like. Over the last several months, I mean, we're looking at 6 to 8 months at this point, I think, have for the very first time been in therapy. And so it's opened my eyes up to a very new world, a very positive world, I would say. And I'm not gonna bore you guys with, oh my God, I go to therapy, everybody should go to therapy. Like, I know, everyone who goes ends up getting on like their little soapbox and wants everybody else to go. Even though therapy is very common these days, way more common than it was for our parents and our grandparents. Like that wasn't even a thing. It's one of those like, oh, it's cool. But the generation that I'm talking about is a little bit older. Like I'm talking like 40s, 50s, 60s, right? There's still this taboo amongst that generation, I think. And I believe it is such a sign of emotional intelligence when somebody who's really good at what they're doing can stand up and say, you know what, I need help. And maybe someone else can give me a better vantage point on how to go about this or what is going on. And I'm willing to show up and do the work instead of giving up, leaving your family, going for someone who's not going to challenge you anymore, taking the easy way out, numbing the pain with alcohol and drugs, going out with your guy friends. Now, someone could say, yeah, Nina, I've been wanting my husband to go or my wife to go, whatever that looks like. They just don't want to go. It's like a third person getting in between you, you know, like I get that. And it's going to be like back and forth and rehashing things and bringing up things and then feeling again like helpless, like this is going nowhere. She doesn't hear me. He doesn't hear me. Like, you know, when my experience has been quite the opposite. I feel as though we both feel heard. So then this is what I would say to that person who doesn't want to go. You might know what the problem is, and you might even know how to fix it. But what you're missing is having a common ground, a common place physically with somebody who's unbiased to help you sit down and clearly communicate with each other to figure out how to proceed in the relationship, what to discuss and what to go through. Honestly, 9 times out of the 10, if I am going through anything, it's a communication problem, whether it's on my end or the other end. And I feel even like amongst our friends and family, I feel as though men are the ones who are a little bit more resistant to going to therapy or wanting to go. I mean, from their perspective, honestly, to give them, the benefit of doubt here, it's like, oh my God, one more thing on my calendar, right? Like I can barely keep up with my wife and kids, and now I gotta also go to a therapist. Now I gotta pay for this. Like I get it. I do understand that. However, I think the main problem is a man wanting or being able to be vulnerable with a third party and feeling or thinking incorrectly, I'm gonna say this incorrectly, that like now they have to accept that they have problems or like seem like they have to get help. My first point to that is I don't look at any of this as problems. I look at these as normal parts of a relationship. Like this is normal. You're growing, they're growing, you're changing, they're changing. Okay, communication got lost in between, whatever the issues were. Maybe someone made a mistake. Now you just got to work on forgiveness. Whatever the case may be, it's not the end of the world. It's just a tiny bump in the road. Okay? It's not a problem that you have to solve. It's more of like a connection that you're rebuilding or a connection that you're igniting again together because you remember why you chose to be with this person in the first place. Like you remember why you guys got together. You remember when you met. You remember the promises that you made to each other in the beginning. I have found couples therapy to be very eye-opening in the most insane ways. And this is coming from like, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but like I read every book under the sun. I try to apply everything. I'm very self-aware and very self-reflective, but I am flawed. I am human. There are so many blind spots when I went to therapy that not just in me, but also, in my partner, that it was really refreshing to see there was no real big problem. And that happens a lot for people when they go to like therapy. They realize like I was avoiding something that was such a small fix. I was like avoiding going this whole time. And that was it. Because I am a little bit more confrontational, I understand myself and the situation better when I'm speaking about it and I'm like discussing it and talking about it. That is how I am with Brian as well. But because I'm a bit on the alpha side, which I'm working on, I tend to like dominate the conversation or I tend to take the lead on things. That has not been helpful when his personality is to be a little bit more, I wouldn't say reserved, non-confrontational, okay? So he just wants to keep the peace and he just wants everything to be happy. Like Nina's happy, I'm happy. What this could lead to is him not feeling safe to express what he is thinking and feeling in the moment. The problem was never that Brian comes to me one day and says, hey, I feel like I can't talk to you and we need to go to therapy. No, the problem was me. And I was like, hey, we need to go to therapy because you are not changing. And I keep asking you to do the same thing over and over again. And I have seen absolutely no growth and no changed behavior in the last 2 years. And he's just like defeated at this point, right? But he was all for it to go. So we go. And in having these discussions with our therapist, we come to find out that the reason some of the changed behavior that hasn't happened on his end, even though I've been asking very nicely for 2 years, is because he doesn't feel like he can communicate even when like he's trying to do something the way that I want him to do it, or he's working on that thing. And if he falls short or he doesn't know how to do something, whatever, it's like he doesn't know how to like talk through it with me because I'm so like, domineering in the moment. So he just doesn't bring it up. So for example, I say, hey, I'm taking a trip and I'm going here, here, here on these dates. If you want to come, let me know. I'll put it on your calendar. And he'll be like, okay, I got to check my calendar, whatever. Then he checks it, or I'll keep on him like, hey, did you check? I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll go. Instead of coming to me and saying, hey, the week before I'm in Timbuktu and I can't get on that flight with you because I'll have 5 hours of sleep before I can get on this flight with you. I need let's go 3 days later. Instead of voicing that to me, he will say, okay, yeah, book it. We can go. So come time for this trip, he is like, I can't go. I have so much to do, this and that and this. And now it's like my expectations are let down. But had he been able to communicate with me or felt like he could communicate to me the day we were booking that, hey, this is getting a little bit tight in schedule. I land at this time. Let's give ourselves a day or two and then fly out. We never would have been dealing with him not being able to go on the trip and then me feeling some sort of way that he can't go. I always communicate to him how I'm feeling, how I'm thinking, what I want, what I don't want. He doesn't. He kind of just is always go with the flow, relax, like the cool guy. He doesn't say much, but you learn in therapy then when she's talking to you and she has her techniques and tactics to get things out of you in a very beautiful way, that he just didn't know that he could communicate with me and that Nina could listen, Nina would be receptive, and Nina would understand. Flip side, I do have this weird thing about me where I just kind of blurt things out. And we could be at a romantic dinner and it's just all about us. And then I'll start talking about work. I have that in me. So does he, but I have it more. And I'm like that with people close to me. And it's more like I kind of have to read the room a little bit. It's like, how about we don't ask Brian about certain things when he's, I don't know, looking down at his phone, sending an email, which I do that a lot too. It's like, he's not listening to me. I don't have his attention right now. So, but my expectation is when you hear my voice, the phone goes down and your face goes up and you're listening to me. But sometimes he can't. Sometimes what he's doing is actually really very important and he's going to lose his train of thought, or there's numbers involved and he can't mess up. So things like that you learn. And it's funny because when a third person who's unbiased is telling you these things, you pick up. You want to show up on the next therapy session. Yeah, this happened and then we moved through it like this and we figured it out and we navigated it through, and you get it. You also, what's really refreshing about being in therapy is seeing your partner understand something perfectly when someone else is explaining it to them in their own way, because they know how to explain the same thing that I am in a different manner, that they understand and that they're receiving it. And then you're just like, oh, okay, so things are not as bad as we thought when we walked in here. It was just that we just needed a different style of communication. And I can learn that for him and he can learn that from me. It's not that big of a deal. There are moments when something minuscule happens between him and I just table it and I wait till our session. I'll write it in my notes app. 9 times out of 10, me just writing it down already took away its power. And by the time I get to our session, if I remember to bring it up, I will. If I don't, I don't. But if I do bring it up, I feel heard. I feel seen. I feel understood. And even if it didn't get solved that day or that night, I feel great just because it was acknowledged. That's overlooked a lot, I think, in relationships, in marriages, even in friendships, to be honest. All we all want is that human connection to feel seen, heard, and appreciated, and supported and loved, not just to inspire other people to feel that inner healing. It's healing. It's very healing when you go to a therapy session, because all the things you feel like you can't get out, or you do get out, but they aren't received, so they still feel like they haven't gotten out of you. It's like the weight's been just all that dead weight just fell off by the time you walk out of that hour and a half session. I think also how therapy is helpful for men, and I think men should go, is because most men don't know how to express their feelings and emotions. It comes out wrong, maybe in anger, maybe in frustration, maybe they shut down, maybe they give up, maybe they start to coast, whatever that looks like, because they don't feel seen and heard. But it's also because they don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to they feel those feelings and it comes out wrong. But what do you need in that moment? A translator. And that's what your therapist is. It's a translator. And she's able to help you learn how to go in and dig deep. And you are able to describe how you feel and then relate it into words. You know what happens a lot is that the wife or the other half feels like I keep saying the same thing over and over again and he's just not changing. He must not love me. This could be with anything. Like I have given him 100 chances and he just doesn't love me. Like, but that's not it. Her communication style could be terrible, but his also could be like he just doesn't know how to communicate how he's feeling or what he needs. And so his thing, in which most men are like this, is to just shut down or leave or coast until she leaves him. When all that was needed was him to be able to say, first of all, even decipher how they feel. And I learned this in our couples therapy. Like Brian couldn't even like go in and like describe things until she was literally pulling it out of him. But for me as his partner, and I was sitting there watching this happen in real time, it was so cool. Like it was so cool to see like him being like, yeah, I guess I just don't let my mind go there because I have so much on my plate at work. So he has a way of compartmentalizing even those moments, which is not healthy. It's not healthy for us, but it's also not healthy for him. We can also blame society a little bit or like how things have played out. We didn't make it okay for men to express their feelings and emotions. We don't. We don't ask them how they're feeling or what's happening. We think that that's feminine behavior, when in reality, we're all human with the same emotions, and we all need that opportunity and chance to speak and feel seen and feel heard and feel supported and loved, including men. And I feel as though therapists are that building bridge for the relationship between men and themselves, and building the bridge between a man and his relationship with his wife and kids. I haven't met one guy yet who is uber successful who didn't at some point have to address some concerns in their marriage or with their families. And they had to stop, they had to reevaluate, they had to pivot, whether it was therapy or something else, that they had to figure out how to make this work. They did the work. And I think that's why I find it so inspiring when I see successful men with successful families, marriages and kids, and the relationship between all of them, is because it shows that they are really have been standing on business in their personal life. When your partner says they want to go to therapy, I think you'll find it turns out to be one of the best things you've ever done.